Hi, welcome to part 3 of Adobe Illustrator CC 2021 Class or in a Book Chapter 4, all about editing and combining shapes. So in the last two videos we made the purple and the orange dinosaur, and now we're going to play with this aqua one. Let's go ahead and go into our Illustrator. Let's switch to our third artboard and using the properties on the bottom. And now we're going to use the Pathfinder to find some effects. So when we're using Pathfinder, it depends on if we want something to be permanently transformed or temporarily transformed. So let's grab our selection tool and drag across all of these ellipses, which are going to make the back side of his head. And now we're going to go ahead to our properties panel and do unite. So if we look under Pathfinder, we get this two squares over each other that are kind of closed. That's unite. So it's going to permanently change it so we can't actually change the size of his head later on, which is not quite what we want. So let's go ahead and do an edit and an undo. And we're going to go ahead and try something else. So now we're going to try to make it so we can actually change these later on. So let's grab our shapes that are still selected, do Option on a Mac or Alt Windows, and let's go ahead and do the Unite button on the Properties panel. That's going to make it a little bit different. So I'm going to hit my Alt, I'm going to hit my Unite, and you're going to see I still keep those different paths. So why do I care? Because if I look at this section here, it's a little bit too big. I don't want it to be quite as pointy. I want to be able to bring it down a little bit. So let's go ahead and deselect that shape. So I'm going to click on my pasteboard. I'm going to come back in, and we want to double click the black stroke to go into the isolation mode. So we know we're in isolation mode because it's kind of grayed out. And now we want to go ahead and click on the edge of the ellipse on this top path, and we want to be able to bring it down just a little bit. So see, I can actually change the size of that shape a little bit, which is what I want. All right, so now I'm happier with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let go. I'm gonna hit escape to hit that isolation mode. Now I'm gonna go ahead and click away from the shape and then come back in, and let's go ahead and select it. It's gonna select the whole thing. Now that I'm happy with it, I'm gonna go ahead and make it a permanent change. So I'm gonna come down here to Object, up to Object. I'm gonna come down to Expand Appearance, which is top third-ish. And now it is one single shape. We can't go back through in that isolation mode and change it at all. So now we want to go ahead and change that fill color to kind of a bluish aqua. So I'm come here to my fill, and it says it wants aqua, which I don't know if any of these are named aqua. Oh, there's one named aqua. That's fun. And I want to make sure my stroke, I'm going to do escape to make that go away. Make sure my stroke is set at 0, so I don't have any stroke at all. And let's go ahead and do a deselect by clicking on the pasteboard and a Control S to save. So the next thing we're going to do is make this line into kind of a little decoration horn looking thing on here. So when we're working with our lines, we can see that we can actually shape and stretch those paths without distorting the shapes. This time we do want to distort it. So let's go ahead with our selection tool and grab toward the middle of this shape. So we select that green path. Let's go ahead and zoom in, Control plus a few times. And now we're going to go ahead and edit our toolbar. So go to our toolbar on the left, go to the bottom of the ellipse. We want to edit the toolbar, and we want to make sure that we have the reshape tool. So I got to make sure that I didn't accidentally leave it on here from when I was playing with this. It's not there. Where did I put it? Let's sec under rotate. Stop. It's not there. Okay, cool. So I want to go ahead and grab my reshape tool, which kind of looks like a U with an arrow. So let's go ahead and scroll down. Here it is, U reshape tool. I'm going to go ahead and drag that up onto my one right below text. So now I've got my reshape tool. And let's go ahead and escape to hide that list. So now I've got my reshape tool selected. Let's go ahead and come over the middle of the path. You're going to see when we come to the middle of the path, we get a pointer with kind of a little square underneath. And that will let us reshape the path. So now it will actually let us bend and change that path a little bit. So I'm going to bend it just a little bit. So that reshape tool can be used to drag an existing point or a segment or a path. So let's go ahead. We bent it a little bit, and let's leave it selected so we can do a few more things. So the next thing we want to do is play with the width. So we want to be able to vary the width to make this one tiny and the middle fat and the bottom tiny again. So let's go to our width tool, which is, to me, looks like a flower with a pin through it, but I'm sure that's not what it's supposed to be. Let's go ahead with our width tool and come over. When we position over the path, you're going to notice that we get a little arrow with a plus sign, which means that is where we're actually going to create a width point. So we're going to go ahead and drag away from the line, and you can see you can change the size of your green banana. We want to make it so it's about 0.4 wide. So you've got your smart guides on. It's telling you kind of how wide it is. Doesn't have to be totally perfect. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let go. And so now we've just created a variable stroke on a path that's not a shape with a fill. And we've got these width points. We've got what's called handles. We can actually adjust those independently. So let's go ahead and deselect, select, and deselect. Make sure we don't have anything selected. And let's go move that pointer anywhere on the path, and we can see anywhere the width of how wide that element is going to be. So that's kind of fun. So we want to go over that original width point, and we want to be able to see when we get the kind of tilde up, you can see if you move it up and down, that's actually going to stretch those different elements and make it a consistent width throughout. So let's go ahead and just make it a little bit fatter. I'm going to go ahead and let go. So now we want to go ahead and make sure this top of this path is very small. So we're going to move the pointer over, and we're going to have that little tilde still. And let's go ahead and double click it, and it's going to say width edit point. So we want our total width here at the top to be 0, and say OK. So it's going to take it to a point, and we want to do the same thing down below. So let's double click and make it 0, and OK. So now I have this kind of pointer part. All right, so now let's go ahead and come over to our width handles down here. You see we've got our width handles, and we can actually make those parts independently wider, smaller. So let's go ahead and make it just a little bit wider. All right, let's go ahead with our path is selected, so we're good there. And let's go ahead and change the stroke color on the properties to black. So instead of green, we're going to go ahead and make it black. Oh, I don't have it selected. Let's select the path and make it black. I'm not sure what I missed. I missed something. I'm just going to use the selection tool to make it black. All right, now I have it black. All right. Is that all I want to do that one? That is all I want to do that one. All right, so let's go ahead and escape and hide that one. Let's do a view, fit artboard and window. And we're going to go ahead and assemble this head right here. Now you're going to see that this is a little bit fat. The stroke actually turned into 37 points, which is not necessarily what we want. Let's go ahead and take it down to about 19. So you can actually do it by hand, or you can go ahead and just type it in. Not 419. All right, so it got a little bit skinnier. So now we're going to go ahead and drag it over into position kind of over here. And we're going to bring it in. And it's a little bit big, so we're going to go ahead and play with the size a little bit. So we're going to do Option. We're just going to go ahead and bring it up. Hold your Shift key. Whoa. I want to rotate it just a little bit. Kind of bring it in. Kind of making eyebrows is what we're kind of doing. All right, and now I need another one. So let's go ahead and Alt and drag one to the other side. And you're going to say it's backwards. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and flip it over. So we're going to go to the Properties panel, and we're going to do Flip on Horizontal Axis. And it's going to flip that around for us. We can go ahead and bring that down, adjust it a little bit. I'm going to click Out, So I kind of like his little eyebrows. And let's go ahead and grab the head shape and bring it behind. So depending on how you adjusted that top ellipse might change how he looks just a little bit, and that's okay. All right, so now we have that third one. So all right, let's go ahead and Control S and save. So let's do a view fit all on window. And now we've created these three faces, but now you have all this extra artboard stuff. So let's go ahead and edit those artboards to remove some of the extra stuff. So let's go ahead to our edit artboards. And we've got our third artboard selected right here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this box, drag it into the edge there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I want to edit this artboard right here. So I'm going to go to back to my next one. And I'm going to do a Control minus so I can grab that and bring it in. All right, we're going to do more with artboards in the next lesson. And let's go back one more and bring it in. Now you're going to notice the artwork is all still there. So I'm going to grab my selection tool and select, and it's going to say I can't do it because it's locked. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock it and hit delete. And I've got this guide that I need to unlock and delete. And one more. And it's saying you can't undo it. So let's go to our layers. And it's actually locked here on our layers. So let's go ahead and hit guide. And now we can go ahead and delete it. So now if you do look at your artboard, you've got all three of them all by themselves. Perfect. You can use them anywhere you want. A lot easier. So let's do a file and come down to package. It has to be saved. Okay. It's going to say, where do you want to put it? So I'm going to make sure I'm putting it in my lesson 4. So I'm going to go to my desktop where I know I've got my folder. I've got my Illustrator. I've got my lessons. I know I'm in number 4. So I've chosen my folder. I'm going to make sure I've got it. Instead of folder, I'm going to write PKG so I know which one to zip. And say package. Yes, go ahead and show me the package so I can see where it's at. I'm going to go ahead and go back 1. And I'm going to go right click on that package, send to, and compressed folder. And that's the one you're going to turn in Canvas. So I hope you enjoyed making a few dinosaurs today and learning how to edit and play with different types of shapes. See you next time.